welcome back to my YouTube channel. And in today's video, we're going to be reacting to Austin Sweat. So remember one of my videos, the video was ranking the best shooting guards from every NBA team all time. Well, Austin Sweat is making a series of this. So this one is ranking the best small forwards from every NBA team all time. So I was just looking at YouTube and I saw this video from Austin Sweat. So I'm interested to watch this. And again, I'll just give you an example of this. So let's say there's at number 30, the Houston Rockets have like the worst shooting guard of all time, right? Let's just say that. Not worst shooting guard of all time, but the best, like let's say the Rockets have like the best their best small forward is James Harden, and he's like the fifth best small forward in the world. Yeah, that's basically what it's gonna be. So the best small forward, and they're just ranking them all time. Obviously, James Harden's a small forward. I'm just giving an example, and let's just start the video.
Ranking the all-time best small forward from every NBA team. Links for the other positions videos are in the description, and in case you missed those, a quick heads up for the rules.
Please subscribe and like to Austin Sweat's channel.
Most of the time,
and you can watch the other series
best four in their career,
of this.
And the rankings are based on
I'll put in the
how
link
they
in the
played for
description.
that one team. So let's go. Number 30, Tyreke Evans for the Pelicans. I mean,
the Pelicans really have like bad
29,
position.
Corey Maggette for the Clippers. Okay, you
the
probably
Clippers
weren't
are bad,
expecting this since the Clippers currently have both Paul George and Kawhi Leonard on the roster. The only reason one of them doesn't take the spot is because they'll be mentioned for other teams. Maggette was good though, but it's still also sad that this spot for the Clippers has to go to him. 28, the Orlando Magic with Hedo Turkoglu. So as you can tell,
he was one of those pieces that went for a championship.
Magic teams, Hedo was a 40% three-point shooter.
Yeah, he was a good three-point shooter. That's what I remember from him.
Which is how he ranks here. And he was always one of the most reliable
better
guys
than
on
Corey
the
Maggette.
10 teams. 27, the Nets with Richard
probably.
Jefferson. Trust me, the list does
Richard
get
Jefferson
better,
was
but
pretty good,
Jefferson
actually.
does deserve this spot. He was never an all-star, but he did play a big part in some of the Nets' playoff pushes and getting them to that point in the late 2000s.
Yeah, he averaged like 20 points per game, and I think he was a pretty good defender too.
Definitely peaked as a player
with the Nets. But then once he got to the Cavs, he wasn't too good.
Who played power forward most of his career, but
I haven't heard of this guy.
Forward too. 25, Kiki Vandeweghe for the Trailblazers. Definitely the Blazers' all-time best.
I think I've heard of this guy.
Only known for scoring. Number 24, the Wizards and Caron Butler. For most of Caron's career, he was a role player, but during his time in Washington alongside Antoine Jamison and Gilbert Arenas, he was a near star-level player, and a two-time All-Star as a matter of fact. He was always a third option on that team, but it was still good enough to make him the Wizards' best small forward, aside from
Gilbert Arenas was pretty good.
Teams. 23, Wally Szczerbiak for the Timberwolves, who easily beats out Andrew Wiggins here.
Andrew Wiggins was playing terrible. Definitely did not deserve to be the first pick.
Consistently helping lead his team to win.
So, yep, I agree with
Kevin Garnett in both the regular season and the playoffs. Something Andrew has never done. 22, the Heat with Jimmy Butler. Only played half a season for the Heat, but we're still ranking him here because as
couldn't it be for the Timberwolves? He also helped them go to the playoffs.
The 4th seed in the East. And I mean, without him, you gotta mention that they wouldn't have ended up anywhere near that spot.
Yeah, and they probably wouldn't have been as
good. Know enough about Jimmy to say that he
I think the Timberwolves, he literally led that Timberwolves team to the playoffs.
Seattle Supersonics with Rashard Lewis. Alright, obviously Kevin Durant would go here, but spoiler alert, I'm ranking him in the Warriors spot, so we're giving this one to Lewis, who teamed up with Ray Allen in his time in Seattle, and honestly the two of them made for a lethal duo.
There's an ad, guys.
Best season, both himself and Ray were all-stars.
Yeah. Alright, skip.
More than
Make sure to skip this. This is 15 seconds.
A passion.
So
with the help of Bluehost's powerful tools and expert advice, don't just make a website, make an impact.
Be good.
Bluehost, the perfect place to WordPress.
and averaged nearly 40% from 3 on over 20 points a game. Definitely putting him as OKC's best small forward, right behind KD, who, as I mentioned, we'll mention later on. 20. The Bucks with Marquise Johnson. And people know Rashard Lewis, but nobody really ever talks about Marquise Johnson as the Bucks' best small forward. And no, we're not going to give the spot to Giannis because all of his dominance has come at power forward, while his short
Giannis is a power forward,
isn't enough to eclipse Marquise's time there. 19. The Hornets with Glenn Rice. And this
he was a lights-out three-point shooter.
Let me just point out here that Glenn played in Charlotte for 3 seasons, was an all-star for all 3 of them, averaged 27 a game in the playoffs one year, and in his best regular season with them,
I never knew that. 26 points per game.
Over 5 attempts a game. The man's definitely
he was a good three-point
Number 18, the Rockets with Tracy McGrady.
Yeah, obviously.
Probably that T-Mac is an all-time great and should be ranked a lot higher. But that's for
he didn't have any
career.
that much playoff success,
specifically, and even more specifically, the one
I didn't see it was after
him. Forward. It was filled with injuries and first-round exits, which just really hurt his ranking, even though he was as good as he was. 17, Mark Aguirre. Aguirre's a pretty underrated player, but Luka Doncic won't be in a few years, which is why he'll probably end up taking the spot down the line. And speaking of underrated, 16, and Adrian Dantley for the Jazz.
Mark Aguirre over Tracy McGrady.
He averaged 30 points a game for 4 straight seasons at one point, but I mean the underrated part comes in because in 3 of those seasons,
he is pretty underrated then. I never knew Adrian Dantley was that good.
The Knicks and Bernard King. You might have expected Melo here, but don't worry, he'll be making an appearance later on. For Bernard, though, the man got to New York and was on his way to becoming a
Melo?
star. And
it's probably the best in his Nuggets
season. Then when he was putting up 32 a game on the season.
Bernard King, okay, we'll put Bernard King
immediate halt when he tore his ACL halfway through that year, then got traded soon after. Then we have the Kings at number 14 for Peja Stojakovic.
Oh, he was a lights-out three-point shooter. That's what I know.
Stojakovic was one of the best sharpshooters in the NBA.
I like that all-time Kings team on 2K.
He
had Chris Webber, Peja Stojakovic. One of the more underrated NBA players, but over Tracy McGrady.
The ranking might seem a little high, but let's not forget how good this man was in his prime. On both ends, all around as a player, he dominated and helped lead the Suns to some.
But dude, it doesn't matter about his jump shot. I think he's really underrated because he was still making his jump shots.
Often lead his team in blocks,
so it doesn't matter.
It
doesn't matter if his jump shot was bad, he's still making it.
Player, and his all-around game is why he ranks this high. Then we have the Pistons at number 12. With Grant Hill. And had it not have been for injuries, well, Grant Hill was hitting his prime right as Michael Jordan was retiring for the second time. And it was being said that Grant was going to be the guy to take over after MJ was gone. I mean, that's how good he was, and that's how high some people saw his potential being. But he's another guy that just
I haven't heard too much about Grant Hill.
Number 11, though, goes to Paul George for the Pacers. And this one was tough. Not because there was any competition for PGS small forward for the Pacers, but deciding which team to rank him for. Because, I mean, for the Oklahoma City Thunder, sure, he only played for 2 seasons, but in 2019, PG averaged
the OKC Thunder, he was an MVP candidate.
And Defensive Player of the Year voting. It was hard to say overall that his time in Indiana was better, but when comparing the two bodies of work, I mean, you gotta remember that he nearly led the Pacers to the NBA Finals in 2 consecutive years. I
guess that's convincing.
While Donovan Mitchell and Damian Lillard knocked him out of the first round while on the Thunder.
Okay, I guess.
The Denver Nuggets greatest small forward of all time goes to Carmelo Anthony. And yes, I'd say his time on the Nuggets was much better than his years in New York. I mean, in Denver, he was praised by the entire league. And
I think he made a pretty good playoff run. That's when he played, like, pretty underrated playoffs.
He only made the playoffs 3 out of 7 seasons and got pretty much unanimously known as a ball hog around the league once the years really went on. 9. The Atlanta Hawks with Dominique Wilkins.
Oh yeah, Dominique Wilkins was
without a doubt the most iconic Hawks player of all
one of the best scorers of all time, and a really good dunker.
Majority of his career,
that's what I know about him.
And all-around players.
And I know he's a great all-time player.
He could compete with all the greats and remains one of the greatest to.
Here's another ad, guys. Skip 6 seconds, guys.
Pampers Cruisers 360 Fit.
New Swiffer Duster Super Extender extends up to 6 feet to trap and lock dust way up high.
Last ad was 6 seconds, this one was 6 seconds.
Which is kind of a backhanded compliment, but he's still a Hall of Famer, so it's okay. Number 8, the Spurs with George Gervin.
Yeah, I was about to say George Gervin.
Well, but he played 5 seasons at shooting guard and 7 at small forward. and was equally dominant at both, no matter where he was on the court, being, as I mentioned, one of the best scorers of all time. Then there's number 7, which goes to the Lakers for Elgin Baylor. Now LeBron would obviously take this one, but he's going to rank in for another team. And Baylor definitely ranks in here over James Worthy because he played in the 60s and
Elgin Baylor,
the 38 and 18 that
he didn't win a
averaged in one
championship.
season
That was
speaks
sad
for
though,
itself.
but I think
Number
he
6
could
goes
have.
to Kawhi Leonard for the Toronto Raptors. And I know this one's controversial. For one, because you might have thought Kawhi would rank in for the Spurs, and for 2, because he's ranking this high after only playing one season for the Raptors. But
only
as
one
we know,
season.
in that season, he led them to the NBA.
I guess he led them to the
And nobody on
NBA
this list
championship.
Up until this point,
I
led
mean,
their
but
team
for the
to
Spurs,
championship. Kawhi was the only one to do it. That's why I ranked him here and put his Raptors
because
days
that was
over
like their
Spurs
first
days.
NBA
I mean,
championship.
sure, he did win one
Okay, you
with Spurs
convinced
and
me.
had a lot of good years with them, but it wasn't until
Would
his
have
last
had a
couple
lot
of
of good
seasons
years with
there
them, too.
that he was the true leader of that team. And I do have to mention,
Alright, that
kind
kinda convinced
because
me.
the Warriors only had Steph Curry and Draymond due to losing KD and Klay to injuries. But you can't discredit it because injuries are a part of it. I mean, I'm sure the Warriors being in the finals so many years in a row played a big part in those two getting injured. And it's not like we discredit their finals appearance in 2016 because Kawhi got injured against them in what was looking like the Spurs were going to blow them out. Or in 2018 when Chris Paul got injured right before Game 7. The Warriors definitely benefited from other players being injured, and in this instance, so did the Raptors with Kawhi. So I get if you disagree with this one, but that's my take.
Doesn't make sense.
Then there's not really too much arguing for the top 5, though. The number 5 spot goes to Scottie Pippen and the Chicago Bulls. Now, I would say Kawhi Leonard is an overall better player than Scottie. He has the same aggressive defense while being all-around better on offense. But comparing his Bulls days with 6
Scottie
Pippen against Kawhi's 1 in Toronto, there's no way he was ranking higher than Scottie. And that's why Scottie ranks so high.
The sidekick to Michael
Team,
Jordan, the
but
Robin
nobody in
to
this
the Batman.
Video has the amount of playoff
and he was a great sidekick.
Experience with winning championships as Pippen does. And combined with his skill, that's a very valuable asset. Number 4, the 76ers with Julius Erving, who is also most people's pick for the greatest 76ers player of all time. And Dr. J was an all-star every single one of his 11 years that he played in Philly.
He's really underrated NBA
every
player.
single year of his career.
Dr. J won championship.
Style of play.
I think 2 championships.
And also,
and he was a great dunker.
He was very consistent throughout his career. He won 1 MVP, 1 championship, and in his worst season in the league, which was his last, he still managed to average 16 points a game. Number 3, the Warriors with Kevin Durant. Okay, we know how good KD is. We know the type of player he is.
He literally led them to 2 championships, so obviously that's his best year
But based on the fact that he only played 3 seasons for the Warriors and won 2 championships, I gotta rank Larry ahead of him based on how long and effective he was in Boston. As for KD, though, the decision to rank him for the Warriors' best small forward as opposed to OKC's best came down to the fact that I think he was just able to show he was a much better overall player while winning championships for Golden State than he did while winning an MVP on the Thunder. Then, as I mentioned, Larry Bird's at number 2 for the Celtics.
Lights out 3-point shooter, really good all-around NBA player.
3 straight
the only thing is that he was not
was
too
a 12-time
athletic.
All-Star in Boston. All while being the best shooter and one of the best scorers in the league during his years in the prime of his career. Having also won 3 consecutive three-point contests
Bird
between
and
86
Magic
and 88.
Johnson.
I mean, sure,
Who's
Bird
better?
was
I think
kind of
Magic
on a super
Johnson
team
is better
for
because
his
he has
3
more team
championships too,
success.
but it wasn't anything near the
Just
super
my
team that the
opinion.
Warriors had. Robert Parrish was a good scorer, but primarily a defender, while Kevin McHale was literally the team's second option. And obviously that makes number 1 LeBron James for the Cavaliers. And I don't need to say anything on this one, but I will say that the decision to rank him on the Cavs spot, rather than for the Heat, was an easy one. He did win more titles, and 3 out of his 4 championships
he did
were in
come back
Miami,
from the
which
3-1
is a
lead,
pretty
so
convincing argument for someone to think that he did deserve to be ranked here for the Heat. But I mean, he averaged much better stats in his first run in
And he came back from a 3-1 lead.
His championship win against the Warriors meant way more than either of his 2 for the Heat. Plus, all of his final runs.
And that Heat team was pretty good. This one was not as good as that Warriors team.
And that wraps up the video.
Alright, that wraps up the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe this video. And peace out.
I'll catch you.